Good morning. Welcome to Bay Area UU Church. I am Reverend Katie McQuage-Loukas, and my pronouns are she and hers. Yesterday at our visioning workshop, we were joking about a bell tower, and as I rang this today, I thought about how lovely it would be to have bells ringing out. I love the sound of bells. Well, good morning and welcome, whoever you are, whomever you love, however you arrived in this place today, in body, in mind, in spirit. Whether you've come to us in person, right here in this space, whether you're joining us online, wherever you are in your spiritual journey, you are welcome here this morning. If this is your first time, you are welcome, and we are glad that you are here. If this is your 500th time, you are welcome, and we are glad that you are here. I open today with a reading from Laura Wallace about a place a little bit colder than here, but I think the sentiment still applies. As frozen earth holds the determined seed, this sacred space holds our weariness, our worry, our laughter, and our celebration. Let us bring seed and soul into the light of thought, the warmth of community, and the hope of love. Let us see together, hear together, love together. Let us worship. Let us begin with the lighting of our chalice.
Good morning. My name is Kathy Charles. My pronouns are she and her, and this morning Charlotte Harden will light our chalice. As the first hint of green begins to peek through the barren ground and that little sprig grows into a healthy stem, as that stem grows into a stalk and forms a bud, as that bud slowly opens with each new day to form a yellow daffodil, let us be like that first hint of green, renewed by the warmth of the sun's rays and ready to emerge with new energy, ready to face the day. We light this chalice to bring a glimmer of that warmth to our space. And our children will be staying with us today, so we have a second chalice lighting this morning.
Good morning. My name is Gloria Miller. My pronouns are she, her, and I am the Director of Religious Education. And the children's chalice lighting that we do during our religious education classes is going to be led by Jace Beveridge. And the words are on the screen along with the gestures. Can you see that, or do you? Okay.
I know. Do we want to get Jace where you can see?
Oh, yeah. Come on over here.
There we go.
All right, you ready?
We light this chalice to celebrate Unitarian Universalism. This message helping minds, the helping hands, and the loving heart. Together we care for the earth and each other.
Please join us in our opening song, Rise in Body or Spirit, For the Earth Forever Turning, in the gray hymnal number 163. The former UUA president, the Reverend Bill Sinkford, often reminds us that we are better together. Our covenant is the promise we make to one another to facilitate the building of the beloved community. Please join me in affirming our covenant. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is a sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, thus do we covenant with one another.
Our unison reading this morning is short enough to fit in your order of service, but if it's easier to read in the hymnal, it is number 417, and it's by Reverend Barbara Pescan. Please join me in reading, For the beauty of the earth, this spinning blue-green ball, yes. Gaia, mother of everything, we walk gently across your back to come together again in this place, to remember how we can live, to remember how we are, to create how we will be. Gaia, our home, the lap on which we live, welcome us.
I am the river.
Our story, our story for all ages today is Miss Rumphius, a story and pictures by Barbara Cooney, excuse me. The Lupine lady lives in a small house overlooking the sea, and in between the rocks around her house grow blue and purple and rose-colored flowers. The Lupine lady is little and old, but she has not always been that way, and I know because she's my great aunt, and she told me so. Once upon a time, she was a little girl named Alice who lived in a city by the sea, and many years ago her grandfather had come to America on a large sailing ship. Now, he worked in the shop at the bottom of the house, making figureheads for the prows of ships. He was also an artist, and he painted pictures, too, of sailing ships and places across the sea. And in the evening, Alice would sit on Grandfather's lap and listen to his stories of faraway places. And when he had finished, Alice would say, "When I grow up, I too will go to faraway places. And when I grow old, I too will live by the sea." "Oh, that's all very well, little Alice," said her grandfather, "but there's a third thing you must do." "What is that?" asked Alice. "You must do something to make the world more beautiful," said her grandfather. "All right," said Alice, but she did not know what that could be. And so when she was grown, my great aunt Alice set out to do the three things she had told her grandfather she was going to do. She left home and went to live in another city far from the sea and the salt air. And there she worked in a library, dusting books and keeping them from getting mixed up and helping people find the ones they wanted. And people called her Miss Rumphius now. My great aunt, Miss Alice Rumphius, went to faraway places too. She would climb tall mountains where the snow never melted, and she would go through jungles across deserts, and she saw lions playing and kangaroos jumping, and everywhere she made friends she would never forget. Finally, she came to the land of the lotus eaters, and there, getting off a camel, she hurt her back. "Oh, what a foolish thing to do," said Miss Rumphius. "I have certainly seen the faraway places, so maybe it's time to find my place by the sea." And it was, and she did. And from the porch of her new house, Miss Rumphius watched the sun come up. She started a little garden among the rocks that surrounded her house, and she planted a few flower seeds in the stony ground. She was almost perfectly happy. "But there's still one more thing I have to do," she said. "I have to do something to make the world more beautiful." "But what? The world's already pretty nice," she thought, looking out over the ocean. The next spring, Miss Rumphius was not well. Her back was bothering her again, and she had to stay in bed most of the time. The flowers she had planted the summer before had come up and bloomed in spite of the stony ground. She could see them from her bedroom window. "Lupines," said Miss Rumphius. "I've always loved lupines the best. I wish I could plant more seeds this summer so that I could have still more flowers." But she was not able to. And then after a hard winter spring, she was feeling much better, and she started to take walks again. And one afternoon, she started to go up and over the hill where she had not been in a long time. "I don't believe my eyes," she cried. For there on the other side of the hill was a large patch of blue and purple and rose-colored lupines. It was the wind, she said as she knelt in delight. "It was the wind that brought the seeds from my garden here, and the birds must have helped too." And then she had a wonderful idea. She hurried home, she got out her seed catalog, she sent off to the very best seed house for 5 bushels of lupine seed. And all that summer, with her pockets full of seeds, she wandered over the fields and the headlands sowing flowers. She scattered seeds along the highways, down the country lanes. She tossed them into the hollows and along stone walls. Her back didn't hurt her anymore at all. And now some people called her that crazy old lady. The next spring, there were lupines everywhere. Fields, hillsides were covered with blue and purple and rose-colored flowers. They bloomed along the highways and down the lanes, down in the hollows along the stone walls. Miss Rumphius had done the third, the most difficult thing of all. My great Aunt Alice, Miss Rumphius, is very old now. Her hair is white, and every year there's more and more lupines. And now they call her the Lupine Lady. When I grow up, I tell her, I too will go to faraway places and come home to live by the sea. Oh, that's all very well, little Alice, said my aunt. But there's a third thing you must do. And what is that, I ask? You must do something to make the world more beautiful. All right, I say. But I do not know yet what that can be.
And many of you probably know this, but some of you may not, that our own Texas bluebonnets are a variety of lupine. So in your mind's eye, picture purple and rose and blue, beautiful bluebonnets as far as the eye can see. So we gather this Sunday, as we do so many Sundays, carrying our joys and our sorrows and our anxieties and our hopes and all of the things that make up our lives. And we bring those things here to this place to share with one another, because we know that we are not the first to have rejoiced or sorrowed. We are not the first to have worried or hoped or dreamed. We're going to light one candle first for Audrey Guild. She was the last remaining daughter of Calvin and Wanda, and she died, I think, the day before yesterday. And people here might remember her, I don't know, but might remember her parents as well. And so we light a candle in her memory and to honor the thread of history woven into the tapestry of this community. I invite you now, as you feel moved, to come forward and light a candle of your own, for yourself, for someone you love, for the world, for a hope, a worry, a milestone, whatever it is that you bring today. We invite you to light a candle for it so that we can help you hold it for a time. And if you need a candle brought to you, raise your hand. And we light one candle for everyone who is not with us this morning. For people watching online, we hold your joys and sorrows too, for those who are traveling, for anyone who is not with us today. And now will you please join me in a meditation? Settle in however is comfortable for you. Feet on the floor if that feels good. Close your eyes or just relax your vision so that you're not looking at anything in particular. We will begin with earth. Imagine soil rich and aromatic, crumbling in our fingers, under our nails. Remember that this dirt is the natural filter for aquifers. It holds life. It was once rock and mineral. It joins with decaying material and hungry fungus. Like the earth, you too are living, made of living organisms. Imagine seeds, the promise of future life. Imagine them germinating and unfolding, potential becoming. Imagine roots wiggling loose, following the earth's gravity down, and the green unfolding to break through to the light on the surface. Thank you, future plants, for converting sunlight into energy for us. Water, fundamental compound. We are just a little piece of your journey. Puddles make mud, clouds rain, glaciers melt, springtime showers, the expanse of the depths of the ocean. Water, you are in all of us, in every cell of our being. Water, flow, allow life to grow, quench our thirst, continuing your cycle through the earth, transpiration and evaporation, condensation, precipitation. Continue to filter and trickle into streams until you reach the sea, only to begin a new journey into the air. Solution of gases, invisible but felt and heard. We feel when air pressure changes. We see leaves dancing in wind. You are our life breath flowing in and out of all of us. Oxygen in, carbon dioxide out. Inhale, exhale. Flowing in and out and back and forth between plant and person, algae and animal. We hear you, air. You are the conveyance for words and music as the waves vibrate. You surround us and expand us in our atmosphere beyond the stratosphere, reaching for the sun. Sun, yellow star, great source of life energy, bringer of light and warmth, bringer of a new day as we see you again after another rotation. Radiant plasma, your solar rays give us hope. Hope for a new tomorrow, hope for warmth after a long winter, hope for light when the future seems dark or hard to see. Brilliant giant sun, shine down on our little earth, earth from which we are made and to which we will return. Returning again to the image of soil in our hands, holding life. When you're ready, open your eyes, loosen up a little bit, and return to this space as we sing our prayer in song in time of silver rain. It's number 60 in the gray hymnal.
The reading today is by Joy Berry, and Joy is a director of religious education, and she is the current Children and Families Faith Development Specialist at the Unitarian Universalist Association. The title of this is Dirt. The oldest stories tell us that we came from the dust, and to the dust we will return. But dirt, that's different. Dust is fine, often even sterile. Dirt, on the other hand, is made up of a lot of messier stuff. Dirt is mostly bits of weathered rock broken down to dust and clay and sand. But the most important part of dirt, and what keeps it from being just bits of clay and sand and dust, is life and death. Organic matter from dead things like leaves, roots, and bugs, and yes, larger animals too, make up the actual good stuff in dirt. Nothing would grow in bits of sand and clay and dust without organic matter from once living things. As they decay and break down, they release vital nutrients and make what we call soil. All living creatures play another important role. Animals, like moles and earthworms, move the dirt around, putting air and organic matter. The scientific name is, oh, here it is, poop. Yes, poop into the dirt as they go about their business, tunneling and growing under our feet. And we sort of don't like all this messiness. We can accept that we came from dust and that we'll go back to it. Ashes and dust and stone, those sound mythical and biblical and storied. They sound symbolic, but dirt's just common. And all that messy stuff that makes dirt makes us a little uncomfortable. Maybe that's because it was drilled into us from the time we were babies not to get dirty. And certainly we don't want to stay that way. Anyone get into trouble when you came in from playing with dirty hands and dirty feet? Any kids here have parents that tell them to go out and get dirty? Or that God made dirt and dirt won't hurt? Any of you? And parents, what does it mean if you show up with an unclean child? What will people think? Dirt means more than just mud or dust. We say someone has a white-collar job if they don't get dirty while they work, and a brown-collar job if they do. Guess which one gets paid more? We say dirty diapers and soiled clothing. What we mean stuff is so yucky we don't even want to go into all the details. If someone has a dirty mouth, a dirty mind, or dirty hands, that means they've said something, thought something, or done something wrong. And if you have the dirt on someone, that means you know what it was. If you dish the dirt on someone, that means you tell what you know, exposing them as unclean. Our words reflect a deep discomfort in dirt and soil. We have some work to do around the moral value of dirt. Our shared hunter-gatherers ancestors might be rolling in their graves to hear how uncomfortable we are, but the Victorian part of our shared American culture is happy with our strange psychological resistance to dirt. We need to get comfortable as a pig in the mud with dirt. You see, dirt needs us to get over this whole obsession with clean thing. Only a few feet of dirt on this whole earth. You don't have to dig down very far before you hit solid bedrock. And yet every terrestrial plant, from moss and ferns to potatoes and carrots, from dandelions and roses to kale and blackberries, to apple trees, to redwoods, all depend on it. It's been called the ecstatic skin of the earth, and yet we treat it like, well, dirt. Thank you for helping me. We spray it with pesticides, and we drench it with antibacterial chemicals that kill parts of the soil that make it alive. But we can change this story. We just need a new story. We know the old story about dirt, not the one so far back that it said people came from it, or its cleaner first cousin, dust, but the one we've heard from the cradle on about how dirt is bad. But what about a new story? You see, scientists are learning all the time about the world around us, and they are learning that dirt is good for us, not just while it grows our food or holds down our tree roots, but good for us like sunshine, like water, like vitamins. How? It turns out that children who get dirtier have less allergies and less asthma as they grow. True story. Have you ever seen a toddler eating dirt when you put them down outside? Do people do that anymore? Do they put babies down outside? Anyway, turns out that tiny bits of ancient dead creatures in soil create something called endotoxins that, when ingested, stimulate our immune system. You know, it lives in our gut where food goes, or dirt if you eat it, in a way that our human blueprint seems programmed to expect. And who here loves gardening? Seriously, who loves gardening? Not the products from it, just the process of it. Raise your hands. Let us see who you are. How many of you wear gloves when you do it? I do. We are finding out now that exposure to dirt actually increases your serotonin levels because dirt has something in it that is a natural antidepressant. So dirt really can make us happier and healthier. It's good for us, like church. We have some very nice communions in this denomination. We don't all truck with transubstantiation, I can't even say that word, where bread and wine are turned into flesh and blood of Christ, but we can all agree that water communion and flower communion and bread communion are just so nice. Aren't they just so nice? Everybody comes together and brings something to share and feels so religious. And they are beautiful and lovely and meaningful in our faith, but I think it's time that we lead the way as the heretics we Unitarian Universalists are known to be in creating a dirt communion. We know dirt happens. We know that dirt is what happens when you live a life joyfully, voraciously, and authentically. When you are too busy cooking food and loving people and dancing and making things to keep every corner spotless every moment of the day. We knock it off our shoes, we wash it off our faces, we sweep it off our floors, but it's a part of us, and it should be. It's too powerful a thing to forget and dismiss. Dirt is foundational. The readier we are to put down roots and to grow and bloom and go to seed, the more we need dirt. We are a faith that says, come, come, whoever you are. Bring your imperfection. Bring your truest, most authentic self. Bring your dirt. We've all got it. It's part of what makes us human beings.
As Gloria makes her way up here, I'm just thinking, do we need to do a dirt communion for Earth Day? I think we might. All right, we're doing it. But we're also going to touch some dirt today, and Gloria's going to come up and tell us about it. And as always, this is an invitation, not an expectation. If you're not quite up to touching dirt in church, you don't have to be yet, but I hope you are.
So this month's theme in religious education is the gift of transformation. And in this service, as we explore the spring equinox and a time for growth, we're going to invite you to come up. The children, youth, and teachers last week made seed capsules with air-dried clay and soil and wild seeds. And they're dry from last week. And we're going to invite the youth to come up and demonstrate to you, for whoever would like to come up and make their own seed capsule today. You may then take it wherever you would like and plant a seed somewhere. These in particular are wild seeds, and we're planning on populating the pocket prairie with them. Youth and children and teachers, would you like to come up and demonstrate?
Show us how it's done.
We have two tables. We have one here and we have one over here. And of course, we have made lots of extras, so if you would rather not and just pick one up after the service, that's fine too.
think we have run out of clay. Well, we ran out of fresh clay, which is always an encouraging sign, but we do still have some of the pre-made ones. So if you would like one to take home, maybe raise your hand and we'll run one out to you, or you can pick one up after the service. Does anybody need some wildflower seeds to take home with them? Okay. Thank you. Dirt is good, yes. Put it on our bumper stickers, put it on our sign. And so I'm going to start. I have a very brief reflection, although I don't know how much more I really need to say about dirt, because I think our reading from Joy Berry was pretty spectacular. But I'm meditating a little bit more on the seed now. And so if you have one, hold it in your hands and think about the seeds that are in there. And think about maybe personal seeds, something less tangible, hopes, dreams, things you wonder about. And wonder what it might be like to be so very small, curled up tightly, nestled somewhere dark and safe, and for something inside to say now. Now it is time to stretch and unfold and to seek something. And maybe some of us know what we're seeking, maybe some of us don't. But in order to do our seeking, we need to be strong. We need to be nourished. And so now maybe imagine what you think you might need to wake up and grow. If you feel gravity sending roots down, what might your roots be seeking? Water and cool moisture and nutrients. And in our seeking, in looking for those nutrients, plants find stability. We are held by the earth, we hold on to the earth. What draws us upward? Sunlight and warmth, hope, the need to stretch ourselves to seek challenge. How do we unfold? How do we reach for something greater than ourselves? Rooted and reaching, grounded, and yet still becoming. There's invisible work happening in us, work that will only come into visibility with time and with patience. So let's take that moment of pause to imagine what it is we might need to unfurl ourselves, what nourishment we as people might need, where we might root ourselves and find support so that we can become our fullest selves. And let us remember that we are not only individuals growing alone. The roots of plants are interwoven. Trees speak to one another through networks of fungi. We are connected in a vast network, sharing in earth and water, reaching together for warm sun and fresh air. What do we all need to feel supported and nourished? A friend of mine who organizes for climate action has told me that most of the young people he works with are filled with despair. Folks our age, he and I are both around 40, seem to be in a little bit of denial at various levels about how bad the climate crisis really is. Moreover, right now, every decision coming out of the Fifth Circuit is a body blow. Supreme Court decisions are breaking hearts. Election season approaches and carries with it real anxiety and fear and stress. Every day in this country, life becomes one more step riskier for anyone on the margins, anyone who isn't perfectly white, perfectly straight, perfectly Christian, anyone who's not perfectly financially stable or presenting a perfect gender appearance, anyone who doesn't fit the imagined vision of an America that never even actually existed. And I can't blame people for responding to any of these things with despair or denial, because those often seem like the only rational responses to truly existential crises. especially many existential crises. And so the question for many of us becomes, what will sustain us? What will nourish us? What will offer us stability? What will make us strong? And I believe that one of the primary sources of sustenance for us lies in remembering our interdependence. To be open-hearted opens us to grief and pain, but if we don't flinch, we also find glimmers of hope. Acknowledging my own interdependence requires that I see the number of ways I myself contribute to environmental crisis, requires me to see how often I am complicit in societal oppression, but it also reminds me that I am not alone in trying to do better, to be better, and fix what has been broken. To be open-hearted is to be awake to the beauty in the world around me, to deeper understanding of my relationship to the larger world, and yes, to open myself to joy and to hope. Opening my heart reminds me that I'm part of a larger history. And so yes, my individual efforts may not be sufficient in the face of large problems, because the problems are larger than any single contribution. But if I keep my heart open enough to continue to engage, if I can endure through the ache of grief and sorrow, I can remember that I have some small measure of power, that it joins with the power of others, and that even if I can't do everything, I can do something. There's a little bit of faith in this, in knowing that I can't see the full network, that I can't imagine the fullness of the results that will come in time. And this kind of hope is a small, little, fragile thing, just as these seeds are small, fragile things. And we can't know that every seed we cast will thrive. Not all of them will make it. That's how that works. And not all of our actions will ultimately bear fruit, or they may do so so far removed in space and time that we will not see their ultimate outcomes. But when we remember our interdependence, when we remember that we are accompanied in our hopes and dreams by others, we can also hope and dream that slow, invisible changes happening beneath the surface will one day reveal themselves in transformation. When despair for the world grows in us, the world does offer us beauty. Hope Charan is an American geochemist and geobiologist, and she writes, "A seed knows how to wait. Most seeds wait for years before starting to grow. A cherry seed can wait for 100 years with no problem. What exactly each seed waits for is known only to that seed. Some unique trigger combination of temperature, moisture, light, and other things is required to convince a seed to jump off the deep end and take its chance. When the embryo within a seed starts to grow, it basically stretches, its doubled over waiting posture elongating into official ownership of the form. The hard coat that surrounds a peach pit, a sesame or mustard seed, or a walnut shell mostly exists to prevent this expansion. And so in the lab, we just scratch the hard coat and add a little water, and it's enough to make almost any seed grow. I must have cracked thousands of seeds over the years, and yet the next day's green never fails to amaze me. Something so hard can be so easy if you just have a little help. In the right place, under the right conditions, you can finally stretch out into what you're supposed to be. Each beginning," she writes, "is the end of a waiting. We are each given exactly one chance to be. Each of us is both impossible and inevitable. Every tree was first a seed that waited." After winter comes spring, with rain and wind, and it blows loose the cobwebs and it loosens those protective layers around seeds. And here, sooner than other places, we get sun and warmth that calls us to stretch, to reach out, to unfurl ourselves where we might have compressed, to not only witness the beauty of the world around us, but to become part of it, to contribute to it. And we can't know that every seed in our clay today will find its place and grow. And we can't know which blossoms may yet bring delight to someone along the way. And we can't know which of our seeds will turn into food or shelter for insects. But part of our commitment to this world and to each other and to this faith is to spread seeds without certainty, to trust that some of it will land, that some of it will grow, and that someone somewhere will need to see that blossom or the butterfly that comes to that blossom, and that we will have in some way, in our own way, made that possible. And so today I ask, for what are you waiting? What is it you need to unfurl? And how will you then go forth to spread beauty and joy in this world? Wherever you go in it, may you carry that beauty and joy in your heart today and every day. We are sharing the plate today with Armand Bayou Nature Center, and I'm inviting up, I believe, Cliff to talk about it? Yes. And while he makes his way up here, I'll explain for anyone who doesn't know that once a month we share our plate with some organization that shares our values. And so half of what goes into the plate today will go to Armand Bayou.
My family discovered Armand Bayou Nature Center in the mid-'80s when we moved here. Our son was 2-3 years old, and we started going out there. They had a farm, they had nature, alligators, walk trails, kayaking and all. And if you haven't been there, you got to go. You know, if you've never been to Armand Bayou Nature Center, go. I've stayed real involved. I was on the board for many years. And we're still involved as volunteers now. And just recently, a really successful service auction item we did, Terry and I donated a tram ride. They have a 2-hour tour that they do. And we had a really educated on the center guide who told us everything about the Nature Center, and it was very fun. So their goal is to preserve the 2,000 acres. It's about to be 3,000 acres. They keep growing. It's at the end of Bay Area Boulevard where all the plants start, but it's nature. It used to be platted to be Clear Lake Forest, an extension of Clear Lake Forest. And this gentleman who was really into preserving the wild areas was killed, and he had been working on that area to be devoted to keeping natural. His name was Armand Iramadigi, and so everybody that was involved with him after he was killed made it happen. And it's got an educational center, great stuff for kids, eco camps during the summer. So anyway, it's something that we support in our family, and I would encourage everybody to do that, and I'm glad the church is doing this.
So please give as generously as you are able, knowing that some of it will go to support our work here, and some of it goes to support work we care a lot about just down the road. Thank you.
Rise and greet the day.
Please join me in the blessing of the offering. This gift from the abundance of my life blesses me, our ministries, and the world. And the gratitude in song is number 402 in the gray hymnal, From You I Receive, to You I Give. So some quick announcements. These are just as important as dirt. So you can follow along in your order of service if you would like. If you have not turned in your pledge for the fiscal year 2024 and 2025, please be sure to get it turned in as soon as you can. So far, we've received pledges totaling a little over $250,000. That's about 62% of our goal of $400,000. There are still a lot of pledges out there that have not been turned in, and you can submit your pledge online at byways.org and click on the Pledge Now graphic at the bottom of the screen, or use the QR code that is on the screen now. And there is also some blank pledge cards in the sanctuary parlor, so you can just fill one out and drop it in the box if that's easier for you. And if you haven't heard, our big all-church garage sale is just around the corner. This is a huge fundraiser for the church, and we've been working really hard to make it a success. We're still short on volunteers, so we need your help. Please use the form inserted in your order of service to sign up. You don't have to stay all day. You can just come for a couple of hours, and it's fun, and it's a great way to meet new people and get to know your fellow church members. You can start bringing your donations next Sunday at 2 o'clock. Please don't bring them to church before 2 o'clock. I'm telling you, they're not going to take them. We'll also be taking donations all day Monday, April 1st, and Tuesday, April 2nd, and until noon on Wednesday, April 3rd. The sale starts at 8 a.m. on Thursday, April 4th. Be sure to tell all your friends and family about the garage sale, and feel free to share it on social media. The week after the garage sale, the church is having a Fringe Art Fest on April 12th and 13th. We are currently looking for artists who would like to sell their work, individuals or groups to provide some live music, or short periods for, or groups provide live music for short periods for tips, and also donated items for the bake sale. We have a sign-up sheet in Cockrell Hall lobby that lists other ways you can help the Fringe Art Fest be a success. Be sure to save the dates and tell your friends about this fun event. And if you're interested in reserving a booth or volunteer, please contact Marlis Dennison. Marlis, are you here? Yeah, there she is. You can also contact her at fringeart@bauc.org. And next Sunday, get ready for an unforgettable Easter. Join us next Sunday, March 31st at 10 a.m. in Cockrell Hall for a delightful Easter brunch. We've got the ham covered, but we need you to bring your favorite breakfast casserole, pastries, fruit, or any dish that makes your taste buds hop with joy. You can sign up using the sign-up sheet in the parlor or the QR code on the screen. After the service, the Easter egg hunt will kick off, promising laughter and joy for toddlers through 5th graders. Don't forget your baskets. The Easter Bunny has promised to pop in for some photos too. Join us as we come together in celebration and fellowship at this joyous Easter gathering. Today, after the service, please be sure to join us in Cockrell Hall for coffee and light snacks and fellowship. Everyone is welcome. And finally, if you're not on our email list, you can sign up on our website at bauc.org. We send out an email of Bay Area news and events every Tuesday that contains these and many other activities that are happening in our church. That was it for the announcements. So join me in the closing song, The Land of Bursting Sunshine, number 82 in the Gray Hymnal, verses 1 and 2, please. My closing words for us today, our chalice extinguishing, is from Reverend Norman Naylor, who I think is up in Maine. He writes, "Our eyes and minds return now toward the ordinary. Leaving this space made sacred by our presence, take with you some seed of understanding, hope, and courage, and drop it into the confusion of the world. Nourish the seed that it might grow as a tree of life-giving shelter to the weary and hope to the despairing. Be yourself a branch of the tree of life. Amen. Blessed be, and go in peace."